So today, I'm not just going to paint, I'm also going to share with you intuitive guidance from the Heart Chakra Angel. It's my spirit guide portal that's here to share with you more about intuition. One of the things they were telling me before we started is that in order for you to receive those intuitive guidance, you have to actually take care of this physical body you're in. You know, we're all in a body, but our true selves is that spiritual being self, right? The one that's always connected, always knows that there's intuitive messages coming in, but maybe we're not in a place to receive them. And so I had gotten the download from my Heart Chakra Angel that they want to share with you what drains your energy and what builds your energy. And that strong energy is really important for receiving guidance because it's about being connected. And they're asking me to share with you about how the idea of meditation. A lot of people think, when you meditate that it doesn't take energy, but yet in reality it does take a lot of energy. It takes energy to stay focused. And they're saying that that's part of what you want to understand is what is draining your energy and what's building your energy. And they're going to talk about it more. But we're going to invite in those, that spirit guide of the Heart Triangle and any other spirit guides that are here to guide you, to help you, to inspire you, because it is about how do you have that shift in consciousness? How do you get from being in your head and into your heart? Because often people think getting out of having higher consciousness is a head thing. And they're telling me, no, it's a heart thing. So if you haven't been here before, hi, I'm Deepa. I call myself the Creative Mystic, and welcome to my Sacred Art Studio. It is a place where we connect with spirit through the spirit guides. We're all one, but we do it through the spirit guides here, where we help you use your creative powers with spirit to grow spiritually, have a divine experience, and most importantly, get out of your head and into your heart, because it is through your heart that your intuition speaks. It is through your heart that you know your truth. It is through your heart that you find your joy. And this is so much of what they wanted me to share with you today. All right? So if anybody's live, please feel free to put a shout out. I see someone's commented. Hi, Lil. Hello to everyone. Appreciate it so much. I know I missed last week because it was my wife's birthday and was busy that whole week, so couldn't make it too. So anyway, let's start with, we're actually going to, I usually start with the bell, but they're saying to start with the flame. We're going to start and light this ghee lamp. Which the idea is to, it's being kind of funny. It went out. They want me to start this with the flame, because they're telling me the flame is transformative power. And in order, we want to invite in the transformative power so that you can have transformation, right? If you're wanting to get those intuitive downloads more, if you're wanting to receive the guidance, have that connection to higher power, there has to be a transformation, right? And they're reiterating to me, and I've said this probably 2 times, 3 times already, but they're really wanting me to stress this point. It is about coming from your head and into your heart. And they're wanting, even if this flame is little right now, they're wanting you to just realize that this flame of the ski lamp is within you. And you have this transformative power to change your consciousness, to change your thoughts, to change where your focus is, to change it from being in your head of trying to figure something out and into your heart of being connected. So they're asking you just to invoke the idea of this flame, all right? And then we're going to bring in the energy of the spirit guides of spirit, ringing the bell to say, hello, God, hello, spirit guides. And I'm going to specifically invoke the Heart Chakra Angel, which you can see in the background, like there, right over there. All right? So let's ring this bell. Hello, Hello, God. Hello, Spirit Guides. We invoke thy presence, specifically the heart chakra angel who came forth to share with you her higher guidance of what is needed with your energy so you can receive the messages, the higher guidance, the wisdom, the love, the joy, and the empowerment. Because they're telling me that through welcoming in the spirit guides, to welcome in spirit, you're welcoming in your empowerment. So with each ring of the bell, allow the vibration to penetrate into the levels of your beingness, body, mind, soul, and all the layers. And as you feel that vibration, just feel the connection with the spirit guide of the heart chakra angel. And she comes in the form of a she today because she says the feminine energy is receptivity. And to be receptive, you actually have to have strong energy. And say thank you to the spirit guides. Thank you. Invoking the spirit guide into your sacred space, which is not just your physical space, but your inner space, which is the most important sacred space. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the heart chakra angel's coming in, and they want me to continue, or she wants me to continue painting on this intuitive beach scene. We're going to work with that in a minute, but she first wants to have me share with you about one of the things you need to understand first is when you're in the physical body, you have to understand what is actually draining your energy, because your energy is one of your most important assets. Okay? And she says we're not going to cover everything about what every little thing that builds it up, but she wants to start with what drains it, because one of the best ways you can keep your energy strong is to limit or not do things that drain your energy, right? Because she's saying how important it is, if you want to receive the intuitive guidance, if you want to receive and feel connected to spirit, to the spirit guides, right? You have to have strong energy. It's not just about, you need to be open, they're saying, but part of what allows you to be open is having that strong energy. Okay, so she wants me to start with what drains your energy. And she says this is the number one biggest thing that drains your energy is being in the energy of fear. Right? Now, what she wants you to get is fear is not the fear of like, oh my God, a lion is running after me, or I think a bomb is going to be dropped on me. Okay, those are fear, right? Big fears. But she's saying fear comes and hides itself in many forms. But she says all the different forms of fear drain your energy. Now, certain ones drain it more than others. Okay, and she's wanting me to talk about that our society kind of has an addiction to fear. Some would call it excitement, addiction to excitement, addiction to fear. And you can see it in how we go about, like what we find entertaining. So she's telling me like a lot of people like to watch scary movies, right? What does that do? It makes you fearful, right? They want to ride scary rides that like dip and make you fearful, right? And in the moment of the fear, they're saying it seems like it gives you energy, right? It wakes you up, but it's actually not the spiritual energy that you want to awaken. That is the adrenaline energy that comes from being afraid. And ultimately, when you're fearful, it drains you. So she's not just talking about like if you watch scary movies or you go on amusement rides that scare you, but she's talking about the fear that you feel every day. So it might be, and one of the ways it hides itself, or two different ways, is worry and anxiety. Now, people don't think of that as like a big fear, but she's saying that it is one of the most draining fears that you have in your life if you worry all the time. Now, it could be you're worried about losing your job, worried about the state of the world, worried about the state of the economy, worried about your spouse or your child or yourself. Maybe you have anxiety about being around people or strangers. Those are all worries. And you feel, she says, like a victim to them. But in actuality, when you start to build up your energy and start to understand what you need to do differently, then it stops draining your energy. Now, what she wants you to do right now is just recognize when you're doing more of them. So if you're watching an inordinate amount of scary movies or movies that are where they're killing people, because all of that gets into your consciousness and gives you a reason to worry. So if you watch a lot of shows where that people get killed or threatened or robbed, she's saying that increases your fear. So she was saying how you want to be cognizant of that. Now, she's not trying to tell you never watch a movie that you want to watch that might be scary, but how often do you watch it? How often do you watch something where it puts you into that excitement fear, where you think it's waking you up, but it's actually ultimately draining your energy. And so she really wants to bring that up to you first, about you to kind of reflect on your life. And if you have a moment, you could even take a piece of paper and a pen, she's saying, and write down how many times a day are you in fear. Now, you probably don't know, but she wants you to start paying attention. She wants you to pay attention to how often you worry, how often you have anxiety, how often you think about what other people think, because that's a worry, right? If you think, oh, are they going to think I'm silly? Are they going to think I'm stupid? Are they going to think I'm crazy because of something you're doing? Those are all fears, okay? Now, she also, here's the one she says really disguises itself. Fear can often disguise itself in what's logical to do, okay? So people will have fear about doing something that is not logical. They will go against what they know is true in their heart because of something they've been programmed with that says that what they're going to do is illogical. So she's wanting me to share with you many, many, many years ago, when I had been on the spiritual path a long time, but I was really going like deep into my spiritual journey, into my spiritual practices, and I got to a point where I had become certified as a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, and every morning and evening I was doing a sadhana, which is a spiritual practice. And I had been doing it for multiple years by that point too, but I was just like, you know what, this is the most important thing in my life. And I owned a house in California, in the Bay Area, and the house was at a point where I think I only had like 10 years more to pay for it or something like that, because I had been paying it off quite quickly. I think it was actually even less than that when I think about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but I had gotten that, I think it's time to sell my house, and we wanted to go move into a spiritual community. Now, everybody around me thought that did not make sense. They thought that was illogical. I should just stay in the house because we're going to have it paid off in a few years, and that would be safe and secure. But I could feel my guidance was telling me to sell it, so I sold it. Okay. Now, another thing that happened they wanted me to share with you, they want me to give you some examples so you can kind of see it for yourself in your own life. Are you doing this? Okay. I was in a formal career where I was an outside straight commission sales rep. And I had gotten it to where I was making, like 6 figures many, many years ago, and only working like 20 to 25 hours a week. But I was bored. You ever get that place where you can feel like, I feel like there's another new next thing I'm supposed to do, and I felt that. So I started to do some like training and I thought, I want to become a financial person. But everyone around me was telling me, why do you want to do that? You make all this money and you like don't have to work very much. You should just keep doing it. Like, you know, but I like could feel like, even though the logical thing, the safe thing would have been to stay in that career and keep making all that money and not working very much, I knew my heart was telling me something different, that it was time to take that next step. And so Heart Chakra Angel wants you to ask yourself, has there been anything like that in your life that you're doing? And I'd love it if anybody wants to share it in the comments about yes or no. You don't have to share what it is. If you'd like to, I think it's always good to give it a voice, because when you give something a voice, it really sets in you like, you know what? I see I'm doing this and I want to make a change. I really want to start doing and following my higher guidance. Okay, and your higher guidance doesn't ever come from the figuring out mind, the thinking like I'm trying to figure it out. You know, the let me figure out what's logical and practical, that is never going to tell you what is true in your heart. And she really wants you to understand that. So when you keep doing what's only logical and practical, and what is it like, what is a fear-based decision, she says that drains your energy. That's when people like get into it, they have a job and they look at themselves and they're like, well, gee, I'm making like good money, but I don't like the job. And they stay in it because of the money. Okay. Or they stay in it because they think they're going to get a pension. You know, I've seen that where people have said that like, oh, you know, like, oh, I can't leave, it's going to give me a pension. Or another new way of looking at it is, oh, I'm going to get all these stock options, so if I stay here this many years. But yet the person finds no joy, no inspiration, no fulfillment out of the job, and they stay there for years hating the job every day, and their mind tells them, I have to do this, of which you know is not true, right? You don't have to do it. You're just doing it for that money. Now, Heart Chakra is not telling you you're wrong if you feel like safety and security is your most important thing in your life and you need to do it because maybe you grew up in an environment where you had no safety or security when you were young, or you're not ready to take that leap. She's not telling you to do something that you're not, she doesn't want to say ready, because you're never going to feel ready when you take that leap, is what she's saying. But she's saying that if it scares you too much to take that leap, that's probably not that leap you're supposed to take. It's probably a smaller step you're supposed to take. But that you want to acknowledge that you're making these decisions out of fear, and that's probably why you don't have any energy. See, people who stay at jobs they don't like for just the money because of fear, because they don't think they can make more money someplace else. Think about it. Do you ever feel like energized or fulfilled? No, right? So she wants you to start to relate to that, to understand that fear is the number one drain. Now, there are more fears and more energy drains than just what we've talked about here, but she wants to just give you enough food for thought to kind of start to pay attention, because like she always says, like the spirit guides are always talking about, is that, you know, raising our level of awareness to see something in our lives is the first step to actually changing your life, to changing it so you can get that higher guidance, to changing it so that you can feel more inspired and joyful in your life. Because if you're feeling kind of bummed, depressed, sad, when there's like someone didn't die in your life, or there's, you know, no loss that you've had, because if you've had a loss, and there's all different kinds of loss, it's not always someone died. It could be a loss of maybe a career that you did love, that if you worked at a company and they went out of business, you know, that would be a loss. So there's different kinds of losses. It could be the loss of obviously someone in your life, an animal or a person, but it also could be like a loss in just that you're moving from one stage of life to the next. Okay, and so that's okay, she wants you to get. But she wants you to understand that whatever you're allowing to feed your consciousness, she's saying, your thought processes, your habits, if it lifts you up, it's energy building. If it takes you down, it's energy draining. So if you're around people who complain all the time and you feel like, oh my God, do I have to listen to it? That's an energy drain, right? If you even complain yourself with somebody, because most people get raised to complain. I know I was. I had to make a conscious effort to change that, and I still have to make a conscious effort if I'm tired to not go there, because I was programmed to complain. In fact, I was programmed, and I'd love to hear it if this happened to you. I was programmed that complaining was the way you connected with someone. That if you listened to them complaining, that meant you cared. And I had to really learn that and change that, that is not the way I want to connect with people. I want to connect with people through what's true in our heart, through our aspirations, through what we love, not through what we hate and what we complain. And that's not to say I never listen to someone say something didn't work for them. And that's not to say I never talk about something doesn't work for me. But is it your only or most of your conversation? Because if it is, that's energy draining, she's saying. Okay, so hi Leonard, how are you doing too? Lil, thank you for showing. I love it. Any questions about what we're talking about with energy draining? I'm going to check back with the heart chakra just to make sure there's nothing else she wants to talk about energy draining. And then we're going to go on to some of the things for energy building. Okay, but let me just check with her. So she wanted me to mention this too. She's saying, besides like what you listen to, what you watch, what conversations you're having, whether it's uplifting or downward pulling, obviously the downwards are draining you. She's saying, what are you eating? What are you eating and you drinking? Because you're in the physical body, she's saying that you do need to be concerned with what builds your body up and what takes your body down. So what she means by that is, sometimes like when we're tired, you drink coffee. I know I was a big coffee drinker when I was in my 20s. I used to drink, like I thought it was like, 2 cups I was having a day, 2 to 3. But the mug was 2 cups, so I was really having 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day. And I used to wonder, like, why am I so anxious? And when I stopped drinking it, I stopped being so anxious. Didn't ever have anxiety, but it wasn't like, and that's how I felt when I was doing, like always, because it would rev me up. It would get my adrenaline going. But afterwards, what happens, and they've proved this scientifically, that if you do something like caffeine, it revs you up for a little while. And then what happens is you have a dip that's even deeper than before the coffee. And so it's ultimately draining you. If you eat foods that create digestion problems, draining you. So like if you have white refined sugars, they're saying like that will rev you up because you have the sugar, but again, drop, and it actually puts a stress on inflammation in your body that drains you. So if your body eats something that creates inflammation, creates bloating, creates indigestion, creates anything that doesn't make you actually feel good other than the immediate feel good when you're eating it, it's actually draining you. Now, Heart Chakra Angel is saying she does not expect you to change this all at once. She's talking about these things because she wants you to become aware of what is draining your energy so you can start going, I'm ready to make a little change here and I'm going to choose something different. Okay? But she wants you to just kind of start to be aware of all these different energy drains because they happen all the day long, especially if you're not aware of them. She's telling me one more other one is EMFs. So she's saying, now she knows you can't get away from all the EMFs, but she's saying devices, computers, phones, iPads, computers, all put off a lot of EMFs. Now, you can't get rid of them all, but she says you might have to be aware of how much exposure you're giving yourself to EMFs. So she wants me to use myself as an example, she's saying, because as I've been on the spiritual journey longer, and as we've gotten more and more technology, I have gotten more and more sensitive to EMFs. So I actually have to limit myself of how much time I put in front of a computer. Now, luckily, this camera here does not bother me. Okay, so it's not the camera, but if it's like I'm holding my actual phone or my iPad or sitting right smack in front of the computer screen because I'm working on something, afterwards sometimes I can feel like, oh, I feel exhausted. Have you ever felt that way? So pay attention to that. Are you sensitive to EMFs? Because that is an energy drain. And even if you don't notice it when you're doing it, it still is draining your energy, okay? And so you want to be aware of, okay, well, if I'm feeling exhausted at the end of the day, if I'm feeling drained, what of these energy drains that the heart chakra angel is sharing with you, which one of them can I let go of at some level? Not maybe 100%, but less than I'm doing now, because you may find it's different, okay? So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in there about the energy drains. I'd be happy to answer it. I thank you for everyone who's introduced themselves. I always recommend you introducing yourself, and if you want to, give a shout out where you're from. Sometimes it's amazing enough. Sometimes somebody's right in your area. I've seen it happen a few times. So, she's telling me one last energy drain. She's saying it's an energy drain when you get too much in your head, thinking, trying to figure something out. Ever been there? I know I was programmed to be in my head, and it's still a journey of getting out of my head and into my heart. And it's part of why we do the painting. I do nature painting and music. It gets me out of my head and into my heart. And so, this is all about how do we help you do that? How do we help you do that? And one of the things is to become aware of what's happening with your energy. Is it being drained? Okay. Are you too much in your head? So she's saying when you're too much in your head that, and you're thinking, trying to figure things out, or you keep saying, she's saying, if you say, I don't know, that's trying to figure it out, even though you're not saying, how do I do this? How do I do this? She's saying if you keep having events happening in your life that maybe you don't like what's happening, but you keep saying, I don't know, there's no solution, that you feel like there's a problem, but you feel like, oh, I got to find the solution, I don't know what it is, that's draining, okay? And part of how do you stop that is, again, get out of your head and into your heart. And we're going to talk more about that here in a minute, about how do you start getting into your heart. But they're telling me that they want me to start painting as we talk about how you get into your heart. Because part of how you get into your heart is the painting. At least for me it is. So this is a painting I've been working on. Oh, I see someone. Oh, anyone in Europe? I'm curious, anyone in Europe? Very cool. Haven't seen anybody, but you never know. Someone might respond back to you a little. And this was a painting I've been working on just for intuition. It's totally, I've been just feeling what I'm being guided to put down. It started to be a seascape, and they said, let's work on this some more today. So we're going to work on this today as we talk about what starts to build up your energy. I'm curious, I'd love it for anybody who's live or even later in the comments to share, what do you think builds up your energy? And the reason why they're wanting you to put in what you think builds up your energy, because they want you to start having the experience yourself. Okay, she's giving you an awareness of what you need to do that drains your energy. And if you're willing to write a few of those down, they're saying what drains your energy and things that you'd be willing to go, you know what, maybe I can do less of this. If you've been a person that loves to watch scary movies and you watch them like several times a week, maybe you cut that amount in half, she's saying. So, making music, Lil, yes, I agree. Making music builds my energy. Do you have a specific instrument? I'd be curious. I have several that I play that I would not say I'm proficient in any of them, but I love playing. But yes, I agree. Building your energy can happen from making music. So maybe you sing. Do you sing or do you play an instrument? I'd love it to hear what that is. Any others? Anybody else got something that they do that they think builds energy? Hi, your voice. Well, you did play guitar. Yeah, I've been learning how to play guitar. But yes, you're a singer. I love to sing, but to myself. That's not true. I have sung in front of people before. I don't call myself a good singer, but I have done it where when I lived in the spiritual community, we used to go out on Christmas time and do Christmas carols. Yes, okay, so what I want to start talking about over, at least that's what I'm getting that I'm going to start talking about, is we're going to start first with what builds your energy with what I do, because obviously that's what I have experience on. And the Heart Chakra Angel wants to talk about the reason why she wanted me to start painting is because creativity, painting, and just like what you've found, music, making music, creativity is one of the things that builds energy. And there's several reasons why creativity builds energy. One of it is that you're a creative being, right? What we call each other, we're creatures, right? We're a creative being. You're a creative being. And that creative being likes to create, right? So creating, making things. Now, but Heart Chakra Angels tell me, but what you have to understand is creating only builds your energy if you're doing it without judging yourself, without trying to be good. So you can't be painting to try to be good at painting. You can't be doing music and trying to be good. She's saying also that if you're trying to please someone else with your art, that drains your energy. In fact, that's why people get creative blocks, is that they're trying to make something for somebody else to make them happy rather than following that creative flow of really what speaks to them. Because it's not about them as in your ego self, but it is about the creative flow that you're connecting with at that moment that you're allowing to come through you. So creativity, it's important, she's saying, that you allow the divine flow to come through. And when you judge yourself, when you're trying to make it for someone else because they want it a certain way, rather than this is really what my truth is, what I feel guided to do, that actually drains your energy. Because you're too much what? Anybody got you too much what when you try to make it for someone else to make them happy? You're too much in your head, right? Because you're thinking about, what does that person want? What do they expect from me? And it happens, they're saying, often for people who are writers, who have sold books, like let's say they sold one book that they were actually quite successful in, and then sometimes they're expected to write a second one, and they're so much in their head worried about, can it be a success again? Or that they can struggle with being in that creative flow. So you have to really be in the place of, what am I being inspired or guided to do? And part of that drains your energy when you're doing creative work is if you're worried about making a mistake or doing it wrong. So one of the things you want to do is really be with just what's true. So Heart Chakra Angel wants me to share with you like my own experience. I've been painting these spirit guides now for about, I don't know the exact time, but 10 or 12 years. And when I still struggle with this today, if I'm having to be tired or happen to be tired, that I can start to, there's what I call with every painting, I'm getting, they want me to share this, there's what I call in every painting, what I call an ugly stage, where you're doing stuff and you have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish or make it look like, which is like if I get a vision of a spirit guide in my meditation, then obviously what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make it look like that some. And what now I know why Heart Chakra volunteered. And sometimes when I keep trying to make it look like that, and it's not happening, what happens? I get too much in my ego, too much in my mind, in my head, and I start worrying about it doesn't look good. I'm not very good at it. It's not right. And the truth is, that's not, you have to just become aware that that voice that's going on is not your true self. It's not your spiritual self. That it's just the voice of your subconscious program and your ego, and that you need to quiet it. So how do you start to quiet that voice so that you can allow yourself to get out of your head and into your heart? And part of that is one of the ways they're saying they want me to share with you a couple things. One is they want me to share with you to say, am I that voice that's criticized me, or am I the awareness of that voice that's criticized me? And I am the awareness of that voice. That's the true self, is the awareness. Okay, so they want you to be able to do that, is ask yourself. I'm going to mix some paint. I think I'm going to. So they want you to ask yourself that. So creativity becomes energy building and intuitive building for you to listen to it when you begin to listen, right? We talked about that in the live a few weeks ago about how you want to do it where you're paint to listen. And we're going to do some more of that because our chakra angel is telling me that the more you listen, the more you build your energy. So they're actually saying that, like, if you're filling every space with talking, with trying to figure things out, that will drain your energy. So Heart Chakra Angel wants me to share when I created the Heart Chakra Angel, this painting right here, this spirit guide portal. I had a vision, and I started to paint on the canvas, but then I started to feel and sense like that, oh, it's not going to look like that vision, that I'm supposed to be doing something completely different. And I started to just paint with what I was sensing of what I was supposed to do. And I started to, mix some green with this viridian, that's what it's called, and some other colors. And I started to lay the paint down, and I just listened. And it was like this painting came through with total ease and flow when I was in the listening and not in the trying to figure it out. And so part of the practice is how do you let go of the figuring out and be in the flow, right? because when you create just for the sake of creating, and that's the thing, that the heart chakra angel wants you to get. When you create just for the sake of creating, for not trying to be good, not trying to make it for someone else, but you're just trying to go like, what's true for me? What am I feeling to put down? That is one of the most energy building things you can do, is to allow yourself to do creativity without any end in mind as far as trying to be good. You have an end in mind in that you want to follow what you're feeling, follow what feels true, and practice that. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm mixing and we're not going to worry about whether it makes it look good or look bad, because like right now, I'm liking the way this little seascape's looking. It doesn't feel done, but that little voice can come up and worry like, oh, am I going to wreck it? Am I going to make it not look as good? And then, but what I've found from experience is often the very thing I think wrecks it later will make it, will be add to the painting. You know, like I'll put something down and then kind of cover it up partially because I think it doesn't look that good or doesn't feel right the way I put it down. And then I'll see how it adds to the painting. So when you can actually hold that way in your life all the time, it's actually energy building. Now, there are energy building activities we're going to talk about at a future thing, but today they want me to just talk about the creativity part, the painting part of how it builds your energy. So they want you, if you have any questions, you can ask any questions about it. No questions? Oh, thank you, Francis, for saying that you love that painting. So one of the things with my painting or paintings is I mix most of the colors that I use. Not all, because some are hard, but I mix, like right now I'm mixing a black color that I'm going to make into a gray color. Not because I don't have black, but because when you mix your own black, you can get all these different hues that you can't get when you buy black. So I do have a tube of black that I bought for this one class I took years ago. But So you might be wondering, like, what does energy or your energy, this is what Heart Chakra Angel wants me to share with you. Like, what does that have to do with your ability to receive your intuitive messages? And she's saying that you want to understand that you need to have strong energy to build, to receive your intuitive messages, because the world around you, the physical world that you're on, most of society is doing energy draining activities, and it's the downward pulling energy, not the higher consciousness that comes when you connect with spirit, when you connect with the spirit guides, when you are in that place where you're not in your subconscious mind, but you're actually in your heart. That it takes energy to go against the programming that you've been given, the societal environmental pull that's going on 24/7 while you're in the body. That it takes energy, just like how it takes energy to focus on in meditation. It's the same thing almost, she's saying, for your intuition. If you really want to get those downloads, you really want to be living your life from a place of divine guidance, which will bring you more flow and ease in your life, you have to be receptive. All right? And if you're filled up with, how do I do this? How do I figure this out? What needs to be done? Then you can't be receptive to the flow, the guidance that's coming. Because the guidance comes to help you get beyond your head, because what's in your head has been keeping you stuck, has been keeping you in this place of not knowing what to do, feeling like maybe you're tired of what's going on in your life. Anybody feel like that? I'd love it if you share something. I know you might not want to, because it can be daunting to share something in public, but Heart Chakra Angel is saying, it's time to get into your heart. Oh. Ah, love from Hawaii. Thanks, Dee. I love that. So the Heart Chakra Angel wants you to be willing to, like, can you commit? Can you commit to doing something creative? Now, she would like it if you would do some painting. And the reason she's saying why the painting, especially oil paints, is because oil paints are very forgiving. It's something that you can do. I'm going to get a little glass of water. I'm feeling thirsty. It's something you can do, and it's very forgiving in that if you do something and you don't like it, you can easily cover it up. Now, she doesn't want you to be in the like and dislike, because that's not following your intuition. It's about following just what you're being called to do. She wants me to show this before, and I know that you guys have seen it before, but there's a different reason why she wants me to show it. This painting is something I did. I felt like I got up and I was just told to, let me just feel what I should do, which was put dots. Now, when I first took out this canvas, you know, sometimes I get an idea that's from my head of something I want to do, and I make it. And as you can see, and this is what she wanted me to show you, I don't know if you can see it, but on this painting, there's a different color. There's yellow underneath this black. I think you can see it on this corner. See how there's yellow on there? This had another whole background of yellow, and I had some idea that I wanted to paint a dragon, but I just, it was a dead in my mind, you know? And so I thought, I'm going to reuse this canvas. So one day I looked at it and was like, you know what, I'm feeling called to really just, I don't want any expectations of what I'm creating or trying to make something. I need to like take a break from trying to make something look like a vision I had, okay? And so I just took out this canvas that had like a partially done, kind of not a very good looking dragon in my mind, okay? And that's my judgment. That's, again, that's not what you want when you're wanting to do creativity for energy building, right? And I just was like, I feel like to put black paint on this. So I actually took out the black that was in a tube because I didn't have to mix it, and went over it all in black paint. And then I started to just put the dots. So allow yourself to like have duds is what she's wanting me to tell you. That's why she wanted me to show that to you, was because she said that one of the biggest things that's energy building, because how we typically do creative works is can be energy draining, is we judge ourselves as we're doing it. So she wants you to really allow yourself to be in the idea of I'm just going to do what I feel called to do, and I'm not going to concern myself with whether it looks good, whether it makes sense, whether it even looks like anything. Because it really is just about how can you let the flow, how can you listen. Now, what she wants me to let you know is that before I listen to what I'm being called to do, is before I even get on camera with you guys, I do a prayer. I do a prayer, move my little self aside, allowing Spirit to flow through me. Because then I can like get out of my head and into my heart. I can be an open channel for what it is my spirit guides want to share with you. Because I always say it, I'll say it again. They know more than I know of what would be helpful for you. So, Our Lady of Guadalupe, not Lady of Guadalupe, Heart Chakra Angel rather, no, Our Lady of Guadalupe I guess was coming through too, but she wants you to also get what drains your energy is tension. So if you're constantly are tense, it's one of the things I had to learn about doing creativity, is how important it was to relax. I had a teacher that used to yell at me to relax, and that's the whole reason why I actually first started doing my yoga postures and spiritual practice. You don't see me doing it in here when I come, but before I get started, I often do some, at least the breath of joy, to like get in the energy. It's one of the things about step back and look at it. I'm still here, just getting back to see what it looks like. Ah, yes, much better. One of the things I love about oil paints, and that's part of the reason why Hard Truck Angel said about using oil paints, is because I love just mixing paint on the canvas. Like, instead of trying to like get the exact color I want, I just start feeling intuitively what to put on there and allow myself to get out of that judgmental head that says, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or maybe this is going to wreck it, because that's the voice that comes up for me a lot, is when I have to really keep quieting the voice that says, oh, maybe you're going to ruin it. And just go, well, maybe I am. And that's okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ah, didn't realize it was so late. It's 4:40. So, I know not more came through in the energy building other than she really wants you to consider doing creativity and painting if you can. She really wants you to consider that you have to start taking care of your energy. And one of the biggest things you can do to take care of your energy when you're doing the wanting to get your intuition to be deep is the listening and the energy building activity of doing creativity without judgment, without any kind of trying to be good, because it is through this practice that you get the practice of receiving the messages. So as I was doing this painting, I was just listening to what colors that came up, and that voice of negativity of like, oh, something, can it might ruin it, or any of that might be going on in the background, but I just keep working with, no, I'm going to listen. No, I'm going to listen. And letting myself and I'm willing to let it be crummy, let it be ruined, let myself, let it suck. It's one of the things I say, if you want to be great, if you want to actually build your energy from doing a creative act like painting, making music, because someone mentioned that they play the guitar or sing, you have to do it like from the love in your heart, not the judgment of whether you're good or bad. And so she's really asking you over the next week and then until the next live next week to practice that and come back with what your experience is, because this is all about how do you experience the divine, right? How do you grow spiritually, and so that you can develop your spiritual gifts, create more ease and flow. And here, this is also very important about connecting with why are you on this planet? What is your purpose? Part of my purpose is to share this with you, but what's yours? Because ultimately you came on this planet for a reason. And they're really wanting me to share that with you, that building your energy is to help you, and building your connection and receiving those intuitive messages are all about how do you become the best version of you on this planet and start to fulfill your purpose. Because everyone has purposes. You have one, I have one, and how do you get connected with that? Now, I'd love it if I'm going to be, if you're looking for a coach or somebody to help you more, love it if you want to take advantage of my next step connection call. You go to deepaloo.com/gift. And I'm going to be starting a membership. Hopefully, I'm getting clarity on things. I keep saying it's going to be in the next few months, and sometimes it's taken longer, but that's one of the things about divine flows. You got to be okay with if it doesn't exactly happen the way you think it's going to. So I'd love it if you want to share any of that. And before I sign off, if there's any last questions, feel free to put them up there and I'll answer them, or the Heart Chakra Angel will come in and give you a message if you want it, because she's sitting there nudging me on things saying ask if they have any questions. So if you have a question that you want me to ask the Heart Chakra Angel, some guidance, feel free to put it in there. I'd be happy to give it to you. And like here we are with the painting so far. That's just an intuitive painting. And it's been a lot of fun for me to do, to just allow myself to feel what's coming through. So I'm not seeing any questions come through. If you are typing one, just put a little thing that you're typing or something in there. But other than that, we'll be wrapping it up here in a minute. I want to thank all of you who ever watched this. Thank you so much. It is my joy to get to do this. And I think moving forward, we're going to really start to maybe bring in some of the more of the experiential. I've been doing a lot of teaching through this, and I'm going to keep doing it, but I'm getting that we're going to do more of the experiential. How can you raise your frequency before you start painting? I do that. I actually do a prayer of intent, an intentional prayer. I will do some yoga postures to relax. I do the breath of joy, which I can show you that here if you guys want to do it. I'll stand up and actually show it to you. So thank you for that. I'll bring my hands together in prayer, and then as I'm inhaling, I interlock the fingers. And as I do that, I breathe in, for me, the energy of joy. Now you can use, I tell people, I call it the breath of joy, but it can be the breath of love, the breath of peace. But the idea is to bring you into that centered place. You breathe in joy and exhale, expanding the joy within you, and inhale up, breathing the joy, and exhale, breathing the hands behind you, exhaling, expanding the joy, and inhale up with the joy, and exhale, bringing it forward. Hopefully you could see that, Dee. Could you see it? So this is one of the things I do. Oh yes, okay, so inhale joy, and exhale, expanding the joy, and inhale joy again, and expanding the joy in every fiber of my being, and exhale joy down, and inhale joy up, and exhale joy to the forefront. And I do this because part of where I carry my tension is in my shoulders, right? So I do this to help relax and let go of the tension, because remember, I don't know if you were on earlier, but I said that one of the biggest energy drains is tension, tension in your body. And that tension in your body also stops the flow. It's really hard to receive guidance and receive the messages and actually receive it to a point of where you can allow it in, that you will act on it, okay? Because that's the big thing, is that if your energy is weak, you might get some guidance, but if you're tired or your energy's really drained, you're just going to dismiss it as, oh, that was a coincidence, or that's not logical, that doesn't make any sense, why would I do it? And the biggest thing I want people to get, but for you to get who's watching this, is that higher guidance will not be logical, okay? Almost every higher guidance I've gotten has not been logical. I came home from yoga teacher training and meditation teacher training and slammed the door to my car in front of my house and said, I want to sell the house and move back up to the ashram. Not logical, right? Now, I didn't do it right then and there, but it was something that I did do, okay? Spirit guides coming in saying I could tune into your energy and meditate with you for a few minutes and see your spirit guide that's here to help you overcome a challenge or manifest a purpose. I was told to put that on my website. Not logical, right? I didn't even know if I could do it back then. Now I know, because I've done enough of them. But, not logical. So you have to understand your energy needs to be strong so that you can actually go beyond what your logical mind tells you. And they're telling me next week we're going to talk even more about energy building activities. But those are some of the things that I do. Oh, good, Dee. I'm glad that helped you. There are obviously more things I do, but that's something quick I could show you guys. I do that breath of joy to get myself in the right place. But always the prayer, always some kind of little bit of yoga posture are two of the things I definitely always do. And I also light a candle with the ghee lamp and do many other things. But if you just start to get yourself in a relaxed place, in a place of doing a prayer, an intentional prayer, those are two good first steps. I'd love it to hear, if you guys try this, what your experience is, because this is all about, I give you the suggestions that I've experienced in my life and that the spirit guides guide me to tell you. But the thing about that I'm always with being interfaith minister, is that I want you to experiment and see what works for you. Everybody's wired slightly differently. And you have to really be willing to go, let me see if this works for me. Let me give it my all and see, and that's what I do. I when I find out something new and I try, I give it my all, 100%. And then I see the experience I get. And if it's something positive, I continue doing it. If I go, that's not so much for me, I don't do it. And I have different tools in my toolbox. I have certain things I do every morning, every evening. But I will tell you, and when you've been on the spiritual path a long time, like I have, I'm doing something every morning, every evening. The challenge is not like having an experience. The challenge is, how do you keep it fresh? How do you have an experience that actually inspires you, not just going through the motions? Because as you do something longer and longer, sometimes It's a habit that you're going through the motions. And it's like, how do you keep inspired? How do you feel, connected and guided, not just doing it out of routine? And so I have to check in with myself daily to see, what does this body, mind, and soul need? I always meditate. I always chant, because I've been doing a Buddhist chant for 40 plus years. I've been meditating for, I don't know, 30 plus years, maybe 35. I don't know exactly when, but many, many years. Okay, and I've had to learn that this body is part of the equation. I don't want to identify as I'm this body. I want to identify as I'm this spiritual being, but I got to take care of the body. It's like, if you had a car and you never took care of it, what's going to happen? It's going to break down and not get you to where you want to go. Well, while you're in the physical body, you got to take care of the body so it can get you where you want to go, which is enlightened, receiving higher guidance, fulfilling your purpose. All right. Thank you so much. Any last questions real quick before I wrap it up? Because I wasn't, from the question that Dee asked, thank you so much for asking it. I was getting downloads to share all this other stuff that I share with you. And that's the beauty why if you bring the question forth, often the spirit guides will come through, give an answer to your question, and also go, Deepa, share this. And so I really appreciate the question that you had, Dee, and I appreciated getting to share it with you. And so if there's any others, please feel free to put it in real quick. Otherwise, I'm going to be signing off here in the next minute. But I'll give you a minute, and then we'll be here next week, Thursday. I don't know what the date is, but can you believe it? It's going to be June. I can't. Thursday at 3:30 next week, we'll be here with a new live. We're going to talk more a little bit about energy building activities for helping you with being able to be strong to receive those intuitive guidance, to get those messages. All right, well, it doesn't look like anything else has come through. So again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the future, and blessings to all. I'll see you next week on the next live. All right, we're going to talk again about more energy building activities. We'll see if it's creativity or something else. All right, Dee, thank you so much. Thank you to you. Aloha.